What is going on, YouTube? How are you guys doing today? Welcome back to another VTI Legends Corner video. I am your host and Officer Orange Leader 398, and I got my guest, the one, the only, Jake Hank. How you doing, Jake?
Good, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Hopefully get some fun conversation out of this.
Oh, you know it is, because we got Captain Rex coming to Galaxy of Heroes, and I gotta say, I'm excited for this. I am very much a big clone guy. Clones were always my forte. So seeing Captain Rex in a second version, I am all for it.
Yeah, he's a really fun character, pretty dynamic throughout the shows. I think Fives maybe is my favorite clone, but Rex is right there with.
Yeah. Yeah, I always liked Commander Cody, which we'll get to a little bit later in this video, but hopefully he'll be coming back a little bit at least.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
All right. So, have you taken a look at his kit?
I have.
You have? Perfect. All right. So, first things first, the tags. I gotta say, there's been a lot of times in the past where I feel like characters should have more tags and never got enough. I feel like they nailed it pretty spot on for Captain Rex.
Yeah, I think the Rebel and Rebel Fighter ones are interesting just because I don't know if that's just supposed to be like a placeholder tag while you're building up a team for where he's really truly meant to be, or what, or maybe he'll surprise us and do something cool with some characters.
Yeah.
But more tags is always better. The biggest buff they could give to so many characters is just extra tags.
Absolutely. I mean, the more tags you have, the more you can slot and play. Because when you look at his kit, he is definitely more oriented towards the Clone Trooper and Phoenix. But I haven't actually looked, and there might be some callouts to just Rebels throughout the Phoenix kit, where it gives a bonus to Rebels, and so, which I mean, yeah, early game, if you're brand new and you're getting this marquee, like my alt is absolutely going to get this through the marquee event. And, I might slot him with some Rebels early on that aren't Phoenix, because I haven't really gunned for Phoenix yet.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of what I assume those tags are for. Is slot holders, especially because I think the Phoenix opening farm is kind of dying out in popularity. I mean, it's nice to get Thrawn, but it's harder now. They made Hera harder to farm.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of 4 weeks of Cantina farm, now it's going to take you 6 months on a hard mode.
Yeah, that was a big ouch for
That's a nerf.
Phoenix.
I don't think Phoenix has needed any more nerfs.
Well, you know what? Maybe they're trying to get people to be like, hey, Captain Rex, if he fits in with Phoenix well, we're going to have, it's a longer grind. But yeah, no, I'm very excited for Captain Rex. For a portion of his abilities, there are definitely very specific callouts to Clone Trooper or Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of good things. But the real question is, if you put him with Phoenix, who do you cut out?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a hard question. I think so. The way I run my Phoenix right now, so there's 6 of them.
Yep.
And Ezra is kind of the star of the Phoenix group just because he's a great Jedi. So
yes,
he works super great with Jedi Master Luke, with Jedi Knight Luke, with Jedi Knight Revan. All these guys. He can call anyone to assist. He's got a multi-attack. He benefits from most of the Jedi leads out there that you might need a filler for.
Yeah.
And with him being an easy early farm, that's generally what people do. I mean, he's most people's 5th for Jedi Knight Revan. He's an 8 energy Cantina farm. You farm that shit in like 3 days. You've got 300 shards and you're done.
Absolutely.
So I think Ezra's already out of the question for the 5 for most people. He's got a
Mm-hmm.
nice unique that stacking offense
Mm-hmm.
helps out a lot, but you're probably using him somewhere else. If
Yeah.
you're not, I think Ezra is a great person on the team. But regardless,
Yeah.
we know Hera obviously is going to be the leader,
Yeah.
and
Hera, no brainer. She's gotta stay. She's that leader who connects them all.
yep, and to me, the discussion for Phoenix members revolves entirely around the unique because that's the whole team is sharing those uniques.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in that case, I think Kanan is steadfast. He's there.
Yeah.
That 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 counter chance is huge for this team. I mean, that's one of the major things that gets you going,
Yep.
keeps you in the fight, as well as that 25% health recovery on debuffs is huge.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot. I
Yeah.
mean, Kanan can be really hard to kill if you don't deal with it well.
Yeah.
Um, and then you've got Zeb, and Zeb's unique is basically just survivability. But
Mm-hmm.
when we consider Zeb's survivability and bonuses in addition to what Rex is going to be offering, I kind of think that's something you want to keep stacking.
I think so as well, and I think we're kind of starting to lean towards the same unit of kicking out here, who we would leave out.
Probably.
We'll see.
Because, yeah, if you don't know, Zeb gains a bunch of bonus protection based
Yep.
on his base health.
Mm-hmm.
And then he recovers protection every turn. And again, this is shared with everyone. You
Yep.
recover more protection if you're debuffed, which you already benefit a lot from debuffs. And
Mm-hmm.
Rex, what does Rex do? He loves it when you're getting debuffed. So it's a pretty good combination.
Very
Uh,
good.
so far, we've already talked about 2 tanks, and now the kind of third character, which is he's a support according to the game, but he's a tank. You know, he taunts, he's tanky, he's got a lot of survivability. It's Chopper.
Huh. Okay.
Um, and part of this, so Chopper is one of my on the fence guys,
Yep.
but he's adding us another opportunity to have that survivability, recovering max health every turn on a team where you're going to have a bonus 100% max health if you've got this Omicron.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. You know,
Yeah.
15% max health when you've got, Kanan as a tank.
Mm-hmm.
You got a relic up. I mean, mine's a relic 7. It's a
Yep.
little overboard, but
Well,
with
it might work out for you right here, right now, with the addition of Captain Rex.
yeah, and with not even good mods. I don't even have a single 6-dot mod on this guy. He's got 85,000 health.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, so when we're talking about 100% bonus health, dude now has 170,000. That's
Mm-hmm.
a ton. You're recovering 15% of that every turn. You're looking at 17. You're looking at 25,000 health every turn that he recovers.
Yeah.
So I think for that reason, for what Rex is offering, Chopper has pretty good synergy. Keeping you guys alive. On top
Okay.
of the fact that you're getting protection up, and what does protection up scale off of? Maximum health. So your protection up is getting more value from that synergy. Yeah, and unfortunately, he does have he does have a chance to assist in his
Mm-hmm.
kit, but that is not shared. So
Yeah.
that'd be really great. But
Yeah. So you're saying Sabine Wren is out?
yeah, in my opinion, Sabine's unique is the shittiest of them all. 25% crit chance and 25% crit damage. I mean, come on. That's
I
not.
mean, being able to crit can be helpful in certain situations. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, if you look at the unique here in the Grand Arena, Rex gains 30% critical damage and additional 60% max health and 25 speed. So, I mean, he's adding crit damage.
Right.
So, if you leave Sabine in, not only do you have the option for armor shred off of her to allow for more damage for the team, as well as her multi-hit with a lot of crits, her damage can really add and stack up. So, in my personal opinion, I would probably leave Chopper out, but
Okay.
I don't really run Phoenix, and I sometimes like to run the Mandalorians. So I will take her and put her with the Mandalorians for that. And that just gives me a lot more flexibility. So Chopper in that case would be in by default.
Okay.
But for me, it's situational on. I would prefer Chopper out just because I feel like she could do a lot more. But you do make a good argument with the increasing the health and the protection and whatnot. So, I mean,
and for me as well, Sabine and Chopper are the two that are getting chosen between here.
yep,
And when I look at Rex's unique, I see Sabine's unique plus more.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so I mean, sometimes it is nice to double up on that.
mm-hmm,
But I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't struggle that much to get crits in the first place.
yeah,
And
that's
maybe
that's
that's just
fair.
a part of modding. And I guess if we're not the question, if you leave out Sabine, do you have any damage?
Yeah, I
Like at
mean,
all?
if you have Ezra on the team, you're gonna have that damage through him.
Right. But
We don't know how hard Rex is gonna hit.
right.
I mean, hopefully he's not like a Cal Kestis who just like tickles the opponents with his attack and does a little more damage than that. Hopefully, but until we actually see this character in action, we're not really gonna know.
Right. Yeah, and if he's got plenty of damage, that would really solidify my
Mm-hmm.
feelings about removing Sabine. If he doesn't have damage, I think there's two options. If you're putting this team on defense, maybe in territory wars, um, with that Hera Omicron, I
Mm-hmm.
think you just want as much tankiness as possible. I think you
Yeah.
want to them have to risk stalling out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it does become a risk if Phoenix get bulky enough for sure, and especially with Captain Rex adding to that bulkiness.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and it's not as much in territory wars because you're not getting that GAC
mm-hmm.
Omicron, but it's still a lot.
Yeah,
And I mean that uh, it's hard to deal with. I've seen plenty of 2-3 combos have to be run on Phoenix with just a Kanan surviving because
yeah,
hard to kill if you don't have obviously Vader's great because you stack those deep buffs and sure he's healing, but then you can just slap him. But if someone's using their Vader against my Phoenix, that feels like a win.
absolutely. I mean, if they're not using lower ranked teams against Phoenix and they have to pull out their Vader,
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of hurts. Because it's like I use my Vader with Afra to do a lot of damage against like GLs and stuff, or like high level teams. So yeah, having to use Vader against Phoenix, I'm just like, oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But
I think I'm leaning now. If you're gonna go on offense, I think you want to take Sabine over Chopper, and I think if you're going on defense, Chopper's better.
yeah, so it's a situational thing. I mean, with each situation, it's gonna be a little different. Because like if you run Mandalorians, but you use armor with C to take out an SLKR, then it's like who do you slot in with the Mandalorians? Well, Sabine might go there, and then you have Chopper. So I mean, it's very much situational. But
Yep.
I
Yeah.
think between those two, Chopper and Sabine, those are probably the good choices.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. And that's something else I always consider is how am I gonna maximize
Mm-hmm.
available teams? And man, Chopper just doesn't have a home anywhere else.
Yeah.
Sabine can be used with Mandalorians.
Mm-hmm.
Ezra is great with Jedi. Kanan is actually a great tank with Jedi. I use Kanan as my primary tank in Rise of the Empire territory battle. And he does fucking great.
That's crazy. That's
I
crazy
use him
to
in
me.
light side Geo on my Jedi teams, and he does great.
Yeah.
So, and Zeb doesn't really have a home either, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of just being able to slot him and getting maximum use out of these guys
Yeah.
on this.
All right. So let's go ahead. We've kind of already mentioned uniques. Now, I kind of scrolled through the comments. I don't know if you did or not, but
Not
I
a
was
lot.
reading through some of the comments below, and there's a really good question floating out there. When it comes to Captain Rex's unique, which I have on the screen for us,
Mhm.
When it comes to the Grand Arena, does the rest of the team for that Omicron get that portion of the Grand Arena unique? Because technically that is part of his unique kit, and in theory with Hera lead, every part of the unique transfers to every one of them.
Yeah, I think
So,
they do. I think they get that initial 25% crit chance, 40% max health, 25 speed, 40% tenacity, and that special abilities, assists and stuff.
yeah,
I think they all get that. And then they also get the overall Grand Arenas, 30% crit damage, 60% max health, 25 speed, and they get the immediate dispel ability block in days.
yeah,
Because they're, like I talked about earlier, Chopper, his unique has half of it states specifically this portion is not shared with other Phoenix units.
that's
And
true.
that's not in here.
That's
They
true.
set a precedent for separating those things, and they chose not to separate it here. And I don't think that was an oversight. I think it was intentional.
Okay. Me personally, I'm kind of thinking it's an oversight.
You think
Don't
so?
get me don't get me wrong. If it's not an oversight, this is very much a team to be reckoned with. I feel like they're going to punch up extremely hard in 5v5 Grand Arenas if this is not in some way, shape, or form reduced down. I think, we have to obviously wait until it comes out. We have a 5v5, we're able to test it. We're kind of getting, what is it this time? A 3v3 season coming up. So
Yep.
we're going to get to kind of see my favorite side of it, but we'll have to see how it does in 5v5. I think they might tweak the wording on it just a little bit because this is huge for Phoenix otherwise, and I think they're going to become. Oh, how would I compare this? I would compare them to like Imperial Troopers with how much they can punch up. I feel like Captain Rex is going to be that dark trooper who's going to help them punch up if this is the way it is.
That may be the case, and I'm fine with that. In my honest opinion, even with this Omicron, if it's all shared,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this team becomes, I don't think it becomes like gas level. Maybe CLS level. I think maybe it caps out around that Imperial Trooper level. You can punch up against a few specific counters potentially, but you're
Yeah.
not going to do anything like game changing for you. It might matter if you've got a small roster. It might be game changing at that level. But in the mid to higher level part of the game, I don't think it's gonna be that transformative. It'll be transformative in the way that Phoenix went from useless to CLS level. I mean, that's a huge increase. Obviously,
Yeah.
CLS is a great team, but it's
Yeah.
still not. You're not taking out a GL. You're not taking out a Malgus. You're not taking out probably a Darth Revan team, just a base
Well,
Darth
I mean,
Revan team.
think of it this way. If you go up against Gas and he uses that AoE try and daze everyone, if you're in Grand Arena and you have the Omicron, that's what, 5 times 2 stacks? That's 10 damage over times for 3 turns on all the clones and Gas.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, he's going to recover health and protection anytime Rex uses basic when he assists. They're going to be assisting anytime he uses a special ability. I think this has potential, if it's not changed, to take down Gas. Probably not Malgus. I wouldn't go that far, but I think it could contend against Gas.
You might be right. Especially, I didn't consider the fact that if he does land all those dazes, you're giving the whole team 25% turn meter.
Yeah. I mean,
Which is
that's a lot of turn meter to
Yeah.
give.
Uh huh.
So,
Yeah, they might be able to just run you over, and they don't get that many buffs as a team. They get a few, and that's kind of a risk with Gas. That's
yeah.
why Gas works against
Yeah.
Malgus. It's not as well in Grand Arena, but
Yeah.
in Territory Wars, he
Yeah.
rolls Malgus because they stack so many buffs so fast that his
Yep.
offense goes insane.
Exactly.
Phoenix doesn't really do that. They don't get that many buffs.
No, because I mean, I just did that in the territory war today. Is I used my gas on a Malgus. They were about the same relic level as me. I lost 5s from a sacrifice, and that was all I lost. And I took down their Malgus. So it's like, I'm okay with that trade, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty consistent trade that I take in Territory War. But yeah, all that to say, Gas, maybe you're right. Maybe they will struggle if they or they won't. Maybe Gas will struggle with this
Yeah.
matchup if they don't pump him too fast.
Yeah. And that's one of those things where if you have Chopper off of his basic, he gives a random buff to an ally. Sabine, I don't believe she does that. Not super familiar.
I know she does a lot of I can't. I think she might give some buffs on her.
Okay.
On her.
So yeah, you just kind of have to pick and choose who you'd keep for that.
Yeah, she again, man. Phoenix. I'm not Phoenix. Sabine's kit is so similar to Rex's when you look at it. Look at Rex's special number 2. When he uses his ability, all allies gain critical chance up and offense up. Sabine, special ability number 2, expose a random enemy. Phoenix allies gain critical chance up and offense up.
Yeah.
If this attack scores critical hits, reduce Sabine's cooldowns by 2. Rex, and maybe this is actually Omicron, but somewhere in his kit he reduces. Yeah.
If he defeats the enemy, reset the cooldowns of all clone troopers and Phoenix allies with his Master Marksman ability.
Yeah, it just feels like his kit does a lot of the things that Sabine does. It almost feels like he's special made to replace her, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The more I look at their kits, they're so similar, but his just seems like the better version of hers.
Yeah, and it very well could be that that's what they're aiming for. Maybe they have something with the live action coming up where they're going to have a more updated Sabine Wren who's going to come out. Maybe
there's going to be a secondary Phoenix team come out. I mean, we see so many Phoenix characters in the new trailers.
Yeah. I mean, imagine...
Still come back.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, there's always room for options, especially in this part of the galaxy where there's so many characters you could add.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think of quite a few just off the top of my head that I'd like to see come to this game eventually, but it is nice seeing Captain Rex. Oh, now, let's go ahead and move on. So we've talked a lot about Captain Rex and his viability with the Phoenix team. Now, when it comes to Grand Arena 3v3, he is more specific with the clone troopers. Now, do you think this is going to make a potential impact nearly as large as it will with the Phoenix team in boosting this team up? Because I would say the two are teams without Rex are probably about the same boat. Obviously, the Omicron for Hera kind of boosts the Phoenix up even higher, but like just standard team, Cody and Sarge and like leftover clones, and then Phoenix, they're probably about the same usage range, which for most people is not a lot, especially mid to late game. Do you think Rex is going to boost... I kind of laugh at it, but do you think Rex is going to boost Cody up nearly as much as Phoenix?
In 3v3, maybe. 3v3 is hard for a lot of people. 3v3 is just so outside of standard. Sorry, I got like a sneeze building up. I'm trying to... It's so outside of standard for people. People aren't good at like off-meta things, and I would call 3v3 an off-meta. The game is designed and built around 5v5 for almost everything. You got a few specific teams that are built and excel in 3v3, but overall, it's so different than the rest of the game that most people just don't know how to deal with it. So it's very possible that it could become a very difficult team to deal with. And Cody has never been one that's big on my horizons, but I'm trying to remember... I think if Cody's lead did more to... If Cody had more ways to call ally assistance, this would be insane. Obviously. Maybe that would make it way too strong.
Well...
But without that, I don't think it's going to be as game-changing as the Phoenix.
Well, I will say this. With having high crit chance on the team, and when he does his mass assist, it is a cooldown of like 8, but for every critical hit from a clone trooper on the target using that move actually helps reduce the cooldown from 8 to whatever it is. That was actually
Right.
one of the strategies with the heroic AAT raid, was you had your 4 clones and you had Princess Leia with a Zeta, because at the time there was no Shock T, there was no gas, there was no GLs.
Right.
It, and you use that ability a lot. And I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
all you're
fair.
doing at this point of the equation is Leia, she didn't really count. She assisted, but she wasn't a clone. So you're just taking away one clone, and Rex hits twice on his basic. So, I mean, you had the potential to bring the cooldown to half or even a little lower with Cody and Sarge as well. So, I don't know if that's going to be too bad in 3v3. My problem is I just don't know about how tanky and survival wise they're going to be. Phoenix, they really get that boost for that, but there's not a lot in the kit for, recovering a ton. Now, he has a couple things where, like Master Marksman, if he scores a critical hit, allows to recover 15% health and protection. That's great, but you're not really outside of Rex getting those out of the other two characters. So I am a little worried that we're not quite going to get as big of a boost, even though it's 3v3. Because a lot of times I try and use Cody with Wrecker and Omega, because I take the other 3 against whatever Grievous team they put on defense, and then I have those 3 as like a backup cleanup team. And it's so now I have this question of, okay, if I get Captain Rex, is it going to be worth it, or do I just use my 2 leftover Bad Batch, who I know are pretty good, who can eventually do some damage and be very tanky, to have Cody's lead help them? And if not, who do I put with them? Because normally I have to break up my 5-0 first. I have Shock T with 1 or with 2 of the clones, Gas with the other 2. And it becomes this whole issue of who leads who.
Yep. Yeah, it's a tough question.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of scrolling through all the clone troopers and kind of the stuff that they've got going on. I mean, Sergeant seems interesting just because of his turn meter gain on his basic ability, which I believe still applies even if he's called in a
Yep.
mass assist, right? So he could
Yep.
potentially be just pumping out turns, which is always good. I mean, he's not going to be a great train, but he gains 50% on his basic on a critical hit, which you're going to do a lot. Rex is giving a lot of that critical chance, and he gains enough on his own just for clone allies.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I know the first thing I heard was Cody, Sarge, Rex. Would be a great way to use 2 characters that don't otherwise get used.
Yeah.
And my issue with the Bad Batch is half of their kits. For every character, half their kit is reliant on Bad Batch ally.
Yes.
Mega's basically only got 1 unique without Bad Batch allies, and Wrecker's not. Wrecker's half the tank he usually is without Bad allies. So,
but definitely tankier than Sarge and Cody probably combined.
Right. That's true.
So
yeah. The gaining of health doesn't matter if you just get 1 shot.
Yeah, exactly. So it's gonna be one of those things where I'm going to at least get the basic unlock. I don't think I'm going to put forth any of my crystals towards this, just because I don't know enough about it, and I'm saving up. I am a little worried about not going for this just because I'm trying to save up towards the next GL. And I feel like this is a step towards that direction. What do you think?
I Yeah, obviously everyone's talking about it. It's been almost a year now since our last TL announcement. It's been more
Yeah.
than a year since our last announcement, I think, right?
Yeah,
And then
because
it's
it's been
been almost a year
about
since our last release.
no,
Was the
I think it
announcement in
was
August or was it in?
I
I was thinking
think
it was in May, but
when it was announced, we had like 2 to 3 months of preparing for it.
right. Yeah, I mean they had to start releasing their marquees, and as soon
Yep.
as we got the first, Lando announcement, it was obvious it was going to be Jabba. I can't remember if it had been announced yet, but
Yeah.
even if it wasn't, I mean, it's clearly going to be Jabba at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you don't put that scene specific character into the game without the main guy for the scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess that begs the question, who is it going to be with Rex? Because there's that whole Rex was on Endor thing, though the picture is not actually him, but he
Yep. Yeah.
was on there. He was on Endor for the battle. Uh, do you think it's going to be Rebel Leia, Resistance Leia, like the later? I mean, what's your thoughts?
I think that it's going to be Leia. I think that it shouldn't be older Leia just because we already have a Resistance GL.
Yep.
Um, and I don't have a problem with, if they gave older Leia, tags that said she was Resistance and Rebel. And because, we do that with the other characters that have been around for so long, they were in multiple factions. As
Yeah.
long as they're at a point in that character's like presence in
Mm-hmm.
the universe that they had been in multiple factions at the point, they got the tags. You talk about C3PO and R2D2. They spanned all of that and they got all of that. I think if they did older Leia, she should be Resistance and Rebel,
Mm-hmm.
maybe Rebel Fighter. But I think just for game balance reasons alone, it'll be younger Leia and it'll be Rebel only tag. It won't be Resistance.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm kind of hoping to see, just because I think Rebels are due something.
Yeah, I mean they're like a core part of the entire universe. They don't have a
Yeah.
GL yet. They've
I
got some great
mean,
characters. They've got a lot of loose ends, and
yeah. To be
it's about
fair,
time.
in terms of movies, they were the first good guys in the Star Wars universe.
Yep. Yeah, and
I
Leia's
mean,
been in 6 of the 9 movies, man. I mean,
yeah.
some people just, I don't know, they just hate to hate, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's no reason Leia shouldn't be a galactic legend.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I also heard someone throw out the idea of, with the Ahsoka movie or the series coming out,
Yeah,
what if it was a GL Ahsoka for
it's
that
possible.
rebel area? Maybe she becomes, with time over the series, maybe she comes in as a GL.
I think that's possible, but I kind of lean towards the idea. I don't know that I haven't seen this, but my thoughts are, there's always been discussion of why can't we make Fulcrum Ahsoka a Phoenix ally? Maybe that would be a great buff to the Phoenix ally. Give her a slight rework, give her a unique that meshes well.
Yeah.
Um, I think that Ahsoka with her show is going to get a new character release
Yeah.
that's going to be a higher level. Probably not legendary wise, just because the timing of a GL, but
Yeah.
maybe I feel like they want to make her more than a marquee character,
Yeah.
but I feel like they want to make a Rebel, Phoenix,
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka. That's going to be another requirement for that GLA.
Okay.
It just seems like it should be closer to a legendary, like a Cal Kestis character, but
Yeah.
they're not gonna. I don't see them making us go through the full release because a legendary character requires 4 or 5 characters underneath it to unlock that character.
Okay. But let me throw something out at you like this. They have over time, they've been changing how they handled the GL situation, the meta situation. Originally, it was two released at the exact same time, a light and a dark. You had to choose between Kylo and Rey if you weren't a big spender. you had to choose between C and Jedi Master Luke. Then they changed it. And they said, okay, we'll do one, wait a little bit, do the other. So you had Kenobi, Lord Vader. They're kind of counterparts, but they do it later. Well, now they're not doing the counterparts anymore. Then you had just Jabba.
Yep.
Now, we've had one every year, but what if they decide to say, hey, we have one legendary event. We have basically what's probably going to be a GL capital ship in Leviathan based on the requirements alone. 2 R9s needed. What if they just give us a second legendary instead of a GL? Do you think they would do that?
It's possible. It's possible. One of the big things that people complain about with games like this, collector games, is power creep.
Yeah.
The only way to control power creep is to start pulling the reins when the creep happens.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, they're not doing that. Every new conquest character is just a monster. In its own right. It's a GL in whatever chosen area it is. Okay, almost ever.
Trench? No.
Yeah.
And I went hard for Trench, too. I went and I got him at the time, and I don't even have him at Gear 12 because he just is not worth it.
Yeah, his kit's too conditional. There's too much, you need to have such a precise team. You need to have that. Exactly. Yeah. You gotta have Django. You gotta have Watt. Watt, the most important character, the most flexible character in the game. You want to lock him down.
I know, and that's like your guarantee to just 2-man C and Watt against a Jedi Master Luke, no matter his competition. You take that away, and now you'd have to worry.
Take Watt away.
If you take Watt away, there are chances that C will lose against Jedi Master Luke.
Right.
Now, bringing in a full team might help, but it's I'd rather just use 2 tunes to take out a GL instead of being all right, well, I need a tank. Do I take away Malik from my Sith Empire? Do I take Royal Guard from Lord Vader? It's I don't want to pull from other teams. So if I could just 2-man it with Watt and C, that's what I'd rather do. And then it's he's just not able to beat much on offense. Not that is Watt worthy anyway, I should say.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. There has been a lot of good Conquest characters. But another one that comes to my mind is Scythe. I haven't seen a lot of good things about that.
Well, Scythe was really good, and then they didn't like how good it was, and they nerfed.
Yeah.
They nerfed the interactions.
Yeah.
So, it's really...
Yeah, I think at this
point...
He was
there. It was an insane...
It was, you're right.
Scythe until they were like, nah, I don't like this. He was like, well, you made it, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It was good. I'm just glad they haven't done that to some of the others, but yeah. No, I'm definitely curious to see how the new Conquest unit does with the Leviathan. But I am kind of curious if they will do a GL or not. I do think they will, and I think it'll be Rebel Leia. I hope it's not Resistance Leia, just for the pure fact that, like you said, we already have a Resistance GL with Rey. Mm-hmm. But also at the same time, it's when you look at the 2 Leias, the Endor Leia, you have action, she's attacking, she's fighting. In the Resistance Leia, she is very much like the Mon Mothma kit, where she's inspiring, she's teaching, she's using words. I don't know if I even see her with a gun in the sequels.
All she does is shoot her own ally when she shoots Poe and stuns him.
Yeah, that's true. She stuns Poe. Maybe that's her ultimate. She stuns an ally and takes out the entire enemy team. I mean, what are you going to do with her kit outside of what you already do with, Mon Mothma?
Yeah. And CG catches a lot of flack, but I think they could get creative enough to make that an interesting kit.
Yeah.
Jabba's not the most, action heavy character in the game, but they still do a good job with what he does do.
Yes, I agree to that. But it's just one of those things where it's like you don't have a scoundrel character who does that.
Right.
But we have a rebel character who does that. So I guess technically, could you have a resistance character like that? Yeah, you could.
Yeah, and I mean, in fairness to a resistance Leia, it's not like Rey uses a whole lot of resistance characters on her best teams, anyways. Her best 3v3 team includes her, Hermit Yoda, and Ben. So no resistance characters. Her best 5v5 teams usually are some weird amalgamation of tanks and stealth that just force you to never kill someone and then time out the battle with L337 and just random droids and Ben and all these, or Dash Rendar and some scoundrels. Like it's almost never resistance in the first place. It feels like it's Rey and some random people, and then two half decent resistance team leftovers, basically.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, I think this has been a great discussion, but I think we're at a good place to probably call it quits.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. Closing remarks. I would say it's going to be transformative for that 5v5 Phoenix and GAC. I think whether you use it on offense or defense will come. I think there's going to be variations depending on what you want to use. 3v3. I don't think it's going to be a defensive team at all.
Yeah.
No matter what combo you use, it's probably going to be an offensive team just because it seems like you're going to want to control what they're doing.
Yeah.
Not as big as the Phoenix change, but I think it'll make some use out of some little use toys.
Yeah. And you know what? This might be something where, we're already locked in for this first set. Maybe I'll throw Rex in the second set of 3v3 on defense with them because, you know what? Why not test it, see if people can make it to my back row and fight them. But yeah, I think he's going to be a great booster for Phoenix, especially when you get that Omicron on him in GAC. So I am very excited for Rex. I think it'll be fun.
Look forward to him. 2 days. We'll get him in the game.
There we go. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe so that way anytime I put out more content, you're there and ready for it. I appreciate anyone who's already done that. And outside of that, thanks for stopping by, Jake Hank. And see you later, YouTube. Peace.
Thanks, guys.